I was blindsided. One moment we were making plans for our future, the house, the vacations, the family. Then, just like that, the ground beneath me cracked wide open. I thought I knew her. I thought I knew us. But life, as it turns out, doesn't care about your plans. It was just another evening, quiet and ordinary. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone, thinking about dinner. Then the phone rang. Her name flashed on the screen. I didn't think much of it. I picked it up, expecting the usual. But what I heard wasn't the sound of the woman I loved. It was the sound of someone else. Cold, distant, strangely calm. "I want a divorce," she said. It wasn't a question. It wasn't a plea. It wasn't even an announcement. It was just a statement. She wanted out. There was no "let's talk about this," no "we need to figure this out." Just, "I want a divorce." As if the years we spent together meant nothing. And before I could speak, she added, "You can't talk to me. You'll have to speak to my lawyer." I could barely breathe. My mind was screaming, but I couldn't find the words. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. This wasn't her. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I wanted to scream, to break something, to demand answers, but I just stood there, numb. This wasn't the woman I thought I knew. This was something else. Someone else. A stranger. For the next few days, I was lost in a haze. What did I miss? Was I blind this whole time? I started looking through everything. Texts, pictures, old messages. I needed answers. And then I found it, the proof I'd been dreading. A message. From him. It wasn't a simple hello. It wasn't just a friendly exchange. It was a confession. Words like love and forever. Words I had only heard from her, now being spoken to someone else. My chest felt like it was being ripped apart with each line I read. But it wasn't just the words that hurt, it was the realization that everything I thought was real, everything I believed was a lie. How long had this been going on? Was I that much of a fool? How did I miss it? But the truth was clearer now. The truth hit me like a slap to the face. She had been lying to me, to us, for months, maybe even years. The woman I thought was my partner was someone else's lover, someone else's secret. When I confronted her, there was no remorse in her eyes. She didn't cry. She didn't beg for forgiveness. She didn't apologize. All she said was, "I've made my decision." I was shaking with rage, but there was something in her face, something cold, detached, that made me feel even more exposed, more vulnerable. She wasn't fighting for us. She wasn't even fighting for herself. It was over. She was done. I took a step toward her, barely able to control the fury in my chest. "You don't get to do this to me," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "You don't get to rip everything apart like it's nothing. Do you have any idea what you've done?" She didn't flinch. Her eyes were empty, as if she'd already checked out long ago. "I don't owe you an explanation," she said, her voice cold, almost bored. A wave of nausea hit me. My heart felt like it was about to burst. I stared at the woman who had once promised to stand by my side, and I saw nothing but a stranger, a shadow of the woman I had loved. But in that moment, something inside me clicked. Something shifted. For the first time, I realized how much I had been willing to sacrifice for her, how much of myself I had given up for a lie, and I hated myself for it. I walked away that day, not in defeat, but in the quiet understanding that sometimes betrayal is the only way to see the truth. And that truth? I had spent so much time believing in her that I'd forgotten who I was. I'd been so obsessed with saving a relationship that wasn't even worth saving, I had lost myself in the process. It wasn't just her betrayal that stung, it was the realization that I had allowed myself to be blind for so long. That I had allowed her to break me, piece by piece, until there was nothing left. I spent weeks pacing in circles, fighting the urge to text, to call, to beg. But in those silent, painful moments, something stronger grew inside me. It was a sense of clarity, a hard, bitter understanding that I could never go back. I wasn't the same person anymore. I had to let go. And I did. The woman I thought I knew didn't exist anymore. The life we had was a dream, a beautiful, painful lie. But through the ashes of that lie, I found something I never thought I would myself. Betrayal has a way of cutting deeper than anything else, but it's also the thing that can break you wide open so you can rebuild. And rebuild, I did. I walked away from the ruins of my old life and into the kind of freedom I never knew existed. I found peace in the most unlikely of places within myself. So, here's the truth. Sometimes, betrayal isn't the end. It's the moment you realize that you are worth more than the lies, worth more than the heartbreak. You are worth the truth, no matter how painful it is. And when you finally understand that, that's when you become unstoppable. Because the truth, no matter how hard it hits, will always set you free.